First 2 days of fall camp are in the books. We talk about what we've learned, what we still want to learn, and we finally got some Rahsul Faison news that's good and better than expected. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. Welcome back. Welcome back, my voice. Welcome back to the show. Still no welcome back on the K on the Locked On Gamecocks podcast sign behind me. We're going to get another sign. We will do it in due time. Now, first and foremost, thank you to everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we're a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, all capital letters, for $20 off your first purchase. Now, let's get into today's show, and let's address how insane the last several weeks have been. And I noticed this on Friday's show. I was so excited for fall camp. No idea what happened that goes into me putting together a background and it's saying spring camp. That's how out of it I've been. That's how you see the bags under the eyes. Moving has been crazy, but we're finally getting settled in, and I'm so fired up right now, guys. I have goosebumps saying this. That's how much of a nerd I am. 28 days from now, we will be celebrating the 1-0 start for the South Carolina Gamecocks over Virginia Tech in Atlanta. And I am so fired up, man. Now, I also want to talk about that later in the episode, just some cool perks of that game being on your own, and what it can kind of lead to, I think, for this team. But before we get into it, let's get into some of the news that we've finally been waiting to hear. Rahsul Faison, here's back from the NCAA. Kind of, okay? His attorney puts this out there on Friday, I believe, and this is what he had to say, okay, which I thought was very. Now they still have not gone the route that we saw Diego Pavia. Like this is what keeps coming up. It's like, well, Diego Pavia got his thing figured out and blah blah, because he sued the NCAA. They still have not gone that route. I don't know if they're going to have to go that route. I hope they don't. I pray this is not to become a situation like the kid at North Carolina last year. It's like you have to wait until game 7 of the season until that kid is like actually cleared. That would suck. Like, we want Rahsul Faison out on the field, game 1 against Vatech. I don't want to see a camera pointing to him in between plays where he's in his jersey and gym shorts and just on the sideline. Nobody wants to see that. And again, let's say it for the 1,000th time. He doesn't deserve to have that happen. He has checked all the boxes of what he should what you should be able to have in terms of getting eligibility during his appeal or like whatever you want to call it, like they've submitted to the NCAA. Okay, that's first and foremost. So I hope that doesn't happen. But the news that came out, he's allowed to practice, and it kind of set off some kind of weird alarms if you're being honest, like, and how I felt about it, because you heard Shane Beamer talk about it beforehand. He thought he was already eligible to practice. The confusion and like confusion around it, and I'm going to use the word here in a second that really describes it in a much better way. The confusion around this whole thing has been frustrating. It's like, well, we thought he was already allowed to practice. Is he not allowed to practice? Like, now he is allowed to practice. His agent or lawyer or whoever is still going through all these motions of trying to figure out, like, how do we get him eligible? And, like, it's great that he can play with the team and practice and be a part of all that kind of stuff leading up to the game or the games. But, like, is he going to be able to play? Because otherwise, what are you doing? And I cannot, listen, I'm still getting my voice back. I cannot get into another thing about the NCAA and what they're supposed to be doing in their jobs for the betterment of student athletes, because it will be a waste of breath. It'll be a literal waste of my voice. But here's the thing I also keep going back to. Shane Beamer saying, well, we thought he was allowed to practice. I don't know if he's allowed to practice, blah, blah, blah. You've seen Shane Beamer and this staff and the way they've operated all offseason. You've seen it going into last season, right? This is a staff that was, like, during the season last year working out NIL deals behind the scenes. making sure Dylan Stewart stayed on campus, making sure Lenore Sellers stayed on campus. I look awful today. But all those things to make sure, man, let's make sure we are on top of everything. Recruiting. Like when Beamer got his extension, he made sure all of his assistants were able to get theirs first. Like, this is not a coach, whether the credit that he's like that people outside of this program refuse to give him or not a coach that is like not super on top of things. So what this tells me, and I am purely speculating here, okay? What this tells me is if there's a big part of confusion going on in this back and forth, the NCAA and what the expectations are and what the rules are and what they're supposed to be following, what that tells me more than anything is there's a lack of communication. There's a lack of communication. I doubt highly that the lack of communication is on this side. Like, that doesn't seem to be par for the course from everything that we've learned. And maybe this is some getting the benefit of the doubt of what we have at Beamer, or me being biased covering this program, or maybe part of it is not giving the benefit of the doubt against one of the most corrupt programs and volunteer entities and organizations in all of sports. Maybe that's what's happening, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. But like what I am firmly getting here is that's a lack of communication, and the track record and the years and countless examples that we have to see from both sides. Yeah, brother, that kind of points to the NCAA not being transparent enough with what their expectations and what their communications are about this situation. Does that surprise anybody? No, of course not. Of course not. It's the NCAA. This is what they do. This is arguably what they do best. And it's frustrating as all get out, and it's very, very upsetting. But I said this a couple episodes ago, if you are putting your eggs in the basket of the NCAA doing the right thing, probably not the best move you can do. It's a fool's errand. Regardless, there is still good news. And I know I just went to negative town on that. I apologize. Let me get back on track, take a U-turn back to positive town. God, it's going to be bad. Man, this is going to sound dumb. Oh, okay. Light just goes out mid thing. That's fun. Okay. Anyway. Oh, that's real bright. This is going to sound dumb, but I am so glad to get my voice back and to be back here doing the show. Like not 100%, but like 80% again. So anyway, but that is where I feel like I feel like the things are with the NCAA. Now back to what we're talking about, the positive stuff. He's allowed to practice. He's a part of the team, and everything you've heard around this program. I would have taken my ball and gone home. I would have been so mad and frustrated, and there would have been ups and downs on this whole roller coaster of like motivation and also frustration and been like, what am I supposed to do? Because at some point, listen, one of the options that Rahsul Faison had to happen was he could also just go pro. He could just go pro. And the fact that this kid is stuck around this program and not given up, and we knew that the staff wouldn't give up on him, the fact that he hasn't given up on himself and the possibility of playing this year says a lot. And I'm telling you, if that kid is finally unleashed, on the field, I mean, a 6 foot, 220-pound game breaker, 4.4 flat type speed. My God, the way that this offense can flourish with a kid like that, take some of the stuff off of Lenore's in the run game and in general. I mean, God, it would be huge. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of some news in fall camp, things we're hearing, things we want to see, things we still want to see, but also who has stolen the show in the first two days. And I tell you what, to the shock of no one, those young receivers, have really done a good job on the first 2 days of fall camp. We're going to get back to that in a second. Before we go, why don't you give a shout out to our friends at 5 Hour Energy. I'll be honest with you guys. You guys know that I'm a very, very big open book. I had a 5 hour right before I came on here. It was tropical breeze, and it was fantastic. But it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, you just need that little extra boost of energy to stay sharp and energized. I'll tell you what, we were talking about this the other day. I think we were talking about it last week with my buddy Corey. Favorite golf memory. I cannot do this now. We just moved across from a golf course here in Baton Rouge. I don't think that I could get out there and play 36 holes anymore, but I remember back in the day, man, it'd be fun to go out there on a golf trip with your friends over a weekend and somehow cram in 90 holes of golf or 70 holes of golf in 3 days and playing 36 holes in a day and your hands are all blistered and stuff like that. Those are some good memories, and I hope that you guys get out there and make some more good memories on the golf course, especially this season or this upcoming fall. If you do, go to 5hourenergy.com and do it today. That is the number 5, hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, but whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order Transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. All right, we'll be right back with more Locked On Gamecocks. All right, let's get into fall camp a little bit here. Welcome back into Locked On Gamecocks. Again, I'm your host, Chris Marler. I'm so happy to be back, man. I'm so fired up. Fall camp starting, and then being able to sit here and figure out, like, again, we're 28 days from the first game of the year. Like, and I just feel very confident when I say I think that's going to be a win, and it's going to be a good season, off to a good start. But anyway, not getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get into Look Ed on Gamecocks podcast. We're going to get that K figured out at some point here. All right. So here's the things with fall camp opening, what we were really, really focused on, right? I don't think it is a big surprise for anyone. I don't think a lot of people have, from a question standpoint, what they're most excited about, what they're most concerned about. Like, it feels like, for the most part, it feels like there's a lot of people on the same page, right? Okay. So the two things that I think came off the most were how do the linebackers look and how do those freshman receivers look? And I think the freshman receivers probably stole the show in terms of where most of the attention is. Everyone wants to know what the latest is with Rahsul Faison is, right? But once you get past we don't know, so wait and see, there's only so much you can really say, right? And that's fine. It's whatever. It's frustrating, but it's whatever. Now, there are 5 true freshmen wide receivers that were available in spring, right? Malik Clark, Jaden Sellers, obviously, Lenore's little brother, Jordan Gidron, local kid, I think he's from Ridgeview, Lex Cyrus, Brian Rowe Jr., Donovan Murphy. Brian Rowe Jr., by the way, is a kid that's not going to blow you away with his size or anything, but he had one of those viral moments that happens, it seems like, in every fall camp. I remember one of the first years I was covering Bama, like way back in the day when I was still a student. Julio Jones made some freak catch on the sideline, and the video got leaked, and Saban lost his mind. Like, you will see all the time in fall camp. George Pickens had a moment like that at Georgia a couple years back. You see it all the time where something will happen that has very little sometimes to do with, like, oh yeah, he'll probably play and have 1,000 yards his freshman year, whatever. In this case, this was way more publicized because it was a part of a team activity that wasn't practiced. But you saw Brian Rowe go up and catch a Frisbee in some, like, meaningless team activity, not meaningless, but you know what I mean, team building activity in the offseason. And lo and behold, he becomes the latest in that situation where people love to get excited about some of these players they haven't seen yet, and the buildup of this specific unit has been palpable, to say the least. Now, you go through everything. Listen, they seem to have all done pretty well in spring. Some of the numbers they put up, obviously, in high school. Jordan Gidron's a kid, like I said, 6'2", 190. He still doesn't turn 18 until October, right? We've seen that work out before. Ryan Williams, obviously, is a name that comes out the year before. Brian Rowe, like I told you, not a guy that's going to blow you away with his size, 6 foot 170, but also a guy that is, like, the measurables and the athleticism off the charts. Lex Cyrus, 5'10", 175, speedster, right? This is one of those guys they got out of Pennsylvania last year when they won like 2 big battles over Penn State to get these 4-star receivers. Not a guy that is going to blow you away with the size. Like I said, right? 5'10", 175. He kind of fits the mold of last year's team more than anything, because that was when you had guys that were all kind of undersized. And like you didn't have any guys that were really over 6'2" on that receiver depth chart. And now you got a lot of guys that are 6 feet and above and much bigger and more physical. And you're starting to see this now going into year 5. I always say this, it's interesting to watch a roster take shape in the SEC. And I'll use 2 examples with you that always made the most sense to me. And I'm not comparing the coaches, but like Saban and Kirby, you could always tell. Hold on. Oh boy, we got practice tomorrow. Okay. You could always tell when you had when those guys were like, they would come in, you're starting to get like as many good recruits as possible, trying to get as many big 5-stars and 4-stars and elite blue chip guys as possible. Like the names that are under like these big bright lights, right? You want all those guys to start filling up your roster early. Then you look at like what they start filling the roster with afterwards. You say like for Georgia, for instance, Jordan Davis is a 3-star. You had brought in 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. Now it's like, oh, now we got this 6'6", 350-pound project that can run. You turn him into a first-rounder. You're starting to see a little bit of that take shape with South Carolina, where like the steps along the way, it's like, yeah, let's go out and get as many good classes as possible. You've seen what they've been signing, and the players they're starting to bring in. You're putting a fence up around the state. That's another part of the process when you're trying to get like as many good players in as possible, but also keep those players home and that want to play for that name across the chest, right? Then the next step you start seeing is like, okay, like let's start setting some standards. We don't want defensive backs just to have a defensive back that's a 4-star. We want our defensive backs to be of this mold: 6 feet, 185, 190, long, lengthy, athletic. Like we want our receivers to be over 6 feet. We want them to be running a certain 40 time. Like all of those things you're starting to see from Shane Beamer and his staff. These are now the standard and the boxes that will be checked while recruiting. And you're seeing that with the receivers especially, okay? Beamer talked about this receiving class. And one of the things he said that I don't think is a surprise to anybody is they are the best receiving group they've had since they've been there. They are the best receiving group they've had since they've been there. So I don't think that is a surprise to anyone. I'm telling you, on paper, this has to be the deepest the receiving group has been in the history of the program. Like I'm not saying it's the best. There's been plenty of years. You guys tell me. There's been plenty of years where you've had like, really good receivers. Top of it, like Sterling Sharp just got put in the NFL Hall of Fame. Like there are plenty of players that have come through this program that have been elite at this position. But from a depth standpoint, a quality depth standpoint, and the amount of players you've been able to bring in that were blue chip at one position, I've never seen anything like this in South Carolina. Like since they've been here, like I mean, think about it. Like that's not a bad thing. That's negative about the recruiting beforehand, but like maybe there's a couple of years under Muschamp where you had some good D-line classes, but not like this. Not like where you're going out and getting 4, 5, 6 guys multiple years in a row that are 4- and 5-star or 4-star players, and then by the way, you're coupling them with a 5-star you already have on the roster, and the guys come back, Nazio Bennett, him. I mean, like Nick Harbor. Like there's talent everywhere on this receiving roster. So it'll be interesting to see who makes this rotation. It'll be very interesting to see who is able to kind of rise. The cream always rises to the top, right? I love that saying. Like Grandpa used to always say it. Cream always rises to the top, and it'll be interesting to see who does that and who might need an extra year, right? But they've got some dudes in that room. Now, the other one's linebacker. And the linebacker position, I tell you what I love most about doing this. There was I forgot whether it was 247 or on 3 and kind of going through some of the expectations from this linebacking group. You're going to have a drop-off. That was what one of the saying was, right? Like you're going to have some drop. From an experience standpoint alone, it's impossible not to. But when we come back, I want to talk about this group because there's a lot still that I want to see. But I'm telling you, man, I just feel like you're gonna see some kids on this team, and it might not be this year. It might be next year, but you're laying the groundwork for what can easily be one of the best units in the conference. And one thing that I think that I really love about this type of situation you're in is, I know this is cliche. I know I'm probably making too big a deal out of it as it goes on. And you guys know that I love to be dramatic, and you've heard me do this before. But dude, give me someone with a chip on their shoulder. Give me a unit, a player, a recruit in this program, or that this program is vying for or watching, that's overlooked, that is being written off. And that's what this unit is. This unit is being written off by anyone outside of South Carolina being like, they're not going to be that good. They lost 3 starters. We have seen, I'll tell you the quote that Chris Doring told me a while back. It was like 2019. We were talking about Florida, and we were talking about they were replacing somebody. And I was like, well, how do you replace all this talent they lost at receiver? I think Kyle Trask was going in to be their quarterback. And he goes, well, here's the thing, guys. You didn't know who they had last year. Like, it's not like the national media was blowing or knocking on the door talking about how great they were a year ago. And then all of a sudden you see all these numbers pop up. So why is it all of a sudden you're so concerned with, well, we don't know any of these people. We didn't know them a year ago. They didn't know that Demetrius Knight Jr. was going to be a top 50 NFL draft pick. We didn't know that unit was going to make up over, 212 combined tackles on that defense. We didn't know that Debo was going to be the one that was probably the least productive out of all of them. We know what we know. And going into the preseason, we know very little. And we come back, we'll get into this. But I feel very, very, very confident in the fact that Clayton White and that coaching staff is going to be able to coach up these players. And he's got some dudes on that linebacking core, man. He's got some very, very talented players to work with on that linebacking core. Now, when we come back, we will talk about all that and more as we close out the last part of today's show. Locked On Gamecocks continues right after this. All right. A little Celsius. It's only 8:45 here, not 9:45 in p.m. when I'm recording this in Columbia. But I do want to get into this before we finish out the show. I brought them up to you at the start of the hour or the start of the show. I'm gonna do it again. Our friends at Game Time, man, we're counting down the days till kickoff. And nobody does it better. We've all been there, but nobody does it better than Game Time when you were trying to get tickets. And I tell you what, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. We have all been there. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. I'll tell you what, if you are tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, Game Time Zone Deal picks the best seats in a section for you. And another thing that they do a great job of, how about a panoramic seat view from your seat before you even step foot in the stadium, arena, coliseum, wherever you were trying to go see your event? Game Time does it better than anyone else. And last but not least, man, there are no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Now take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all capital letters, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so here's what we're kind of hearing, the 3 names that keep popping up at linebacker. Right. Fred Johnson, favorite name ever. Just the ultimate. That's my next door neighbor, Fred. He's running for county commissioner. Love him to death. J.R. Johnson, I think, is probably what he goes by more now. I cannot wait to see this kid. Cannot wait to see this kid. He is a beast of a recruit. Okay. 6'4", 240, fits the mold. I think is going to end up playing some sort of hybrid role Whether he is going to play outside, also get after the passer, I don't know. He is a playmaker, though, regardless, and you're not going to pigeonhole him probably into just inside. Sean Murphy is a guy that's a bit of a traveler, if you will. Went to Alabama out of high school, 4-star, top 100 recruit. Went to Florida State, didn't really like it there. Now he's on his third school. He's at South Carolina. He comes in right away, and everything we've heard so far, he's kind of filled in on some of the leadership stuff you've lacked, which is huge. And I think that having a kid, listen, like not every Alabama transfer is like some, magic pill that you're going to be able to take or put into your defense or whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say, I think. I don't know. Do I even know what I'm trying to say sometimes? Who knows? Anyway, it's not just some like magic cure-all. That's probably a better one. To go in and all of a sudden fix whatever like issues you've had. Like in this case, it's just trying to figure out the ability to have some leadership and some veteran experience on display. So here's what I would say. I like that kid a lot. Him coming in and probably playing somewhere in the middle and being like the vocal leader of that defense in the middle, that is, I like that. If he's the guy that can do it, then let him do it. That's fine. And I don't know if he's going to be able to still play in space. I mean, God, he's old, right? He's been in college for 4 years. He's 21. That's an ancient dinosaur nowadays. I'm kidding, of course. But I love the makeup of that kid. And I also love the makeup of Fred Johnson. And last round, like those two guys were 4-star recruits out of high school that I think are going to be able to like blossom into like we again, I keep going back to this. Recruiting rankings don't matter more than everything else. But if you're telling me that I've watched this group and this staff do what they've done with 3-star and no star ranked recruits, yeah, like Debo was great in 2023. He was awesome in 2023. I think he was second team All SEC. Amazing, right? Love it. Production, we love it. Like production fell off a little bit last year. It wasn't as fast as it maybe thought it was last year, but like still played all season long. Was a stalwart for you in the middle of that defense, all kind of stuff like that. That part's great. But if you're able to do that with a no-star and a 2-star kid from Delaware that transfers in, yeah, man, I'm gonna take my chances and I'm gonna ride this wave of confidence in. Well, you know what? If he did it with a kid from Delaware, I bet he can do it with a kid from Alabama and Florida State. And then the last but not least, man, Oroquenro. I don't care how this sounds because it sounds so cliche and stupid from a coach speak standpoint. But I'm just telling you from like being around that program and covering that program, like especially in 2024 and then at the end of 2023 and having ties to like close to Tuscaloosa to tell you about that team, the last Saban recruiting class that was there, this kid being in there from Germany, flat out, what was said was if that kid was a recruit from the United States and not from Germany, he would have been a surefire first round, or a 5-star player. Surefire five-star player. Like Fitz, he is a wrecking ball, right? Like solid as a rock, 230 pounds. Like I believe he's 6'2", maybe he's 6'3", but I think he's 6'2", 230. Run stuffer, plays downhill, all those things. It's a guy that's still learning the game. And South Carolina's got a lot of those guys that are still learning the game. But the development that he will get here, I will challenge you on this. You could argue it'd be better than he would get at Alabama because at Alabama, there's another crop of 5-stars coming in that are going to play right away. How much time are you going to spend trying to coach up somebody that probably doesn't get the fundamentals as much and is going to be a project for years and years instead of, hey, we've got to figure out how to turn this thing around now, get this kid in there, we need to recruit over him, whatever. At South Carolina, he's going to be in a situation where the development and the track record development at that position and also on that side of the ball, second to none. I will not give up and I will continue to dive into. I think that kid's going to be a really big player for this team. Those are the 3 linebackers I've heard the most about. So, guys, I'm so happy to be back. We'll be back again tomorrow for another show. Obviously, keeping up with fall camp. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have something you guys want me to ask close to the program, and those guys and what we're hearing out of fall camp, send them to me. Obviously, Vern_Funquist on Twitter is the easiest way. Vern Funquist CFB on Instagram. Show comes out. This one come out tonight, and then we'll have another one tomorrow. And guys, we're back in it. We are back in it. So I will see y'all then. Until then, go Cox.